talks broke down between Sydney and Essendon over Joe Daniher.
Joe is a free agent next year and we're going to fight like hell to retain him.
The 25-year-old detailed why he sought a move to the Harbour City.
The last couple of years have been really difficult from an injury point of view and felt a new start might help that, but not to be. So here we are and I'm ready and committed to get back into it.
He should be right for round 2 and first session back he's not there in training.
It's been 2 years of no football.
I didn't think he dedicated himself hard enough to recovering and rehab and giving himself the best chance to get up and play.
It's an all too familiar sight. Bomber Joe Daniher receiving treatment as his teammates train, this time a 2-week calf injury.
It's the race, Joe and the COVID vaccine. We ask every week about them and we're waiting to see which one's going to come to fruition first.
You can add Brisbane to the mix now, who are interested in a trade for Joe Daniher. Now, the caveat on this is that they want to see him play.
Joe Daniher has been taken off the Bombers' injury list for the first time in more than a year.
The great news is we are expecting him to play. Great for Joe, great for us, great for footy.
Well, it's a great story for Joe that he is back playing, but Ross Lyon, your first reaction today, learning that he's trained fully for 3 weeks but hasn't played a scratch match and he's straight back in.
Well, they're able to keep it quiet, really, with the COVID restrictions. No one out there. So I'm thrilled for Joe. It's exciting. The pressure on him is enormous. It's been the scrutiny and the lens on him has been ferocious. But it's great to see him come through. And finally, he's played 11 games in 3 years. So he gets to get out there and do what he loves doing with his teammates, and he's clearly popular. And hopefully, for football's sake, it's a positive return.
He's a superstar player, Sam. He's a box office item. So I can't wait to watch this game tomorrow night because we've got a superstar to watch. And I say that he's a best and fairest winner. He's an All-Australian. And he could be in the top 10 players in the game. That's how good this guy is. And it was interesting, the last injury was 15th of July, and I rang a few people around Essendon and said, Joey's injured again. They said, it's a calf, but his groins have not been... he hasn't felt his groins for 8 weeks. And now this is another 4 or 5 weeks since then. So he's gone 2 to 3 months without feeling his groins. And I suppose in terms of him playing, I think there will be not only Essendon wanting to watch this, another 17 clubs wanting to watch how Joe Daniher performs the next 5 weeks, because there's a lot of eyes on him to think, can we get the best of Joe Daniher playing for our club next year?
Is he lost to Essendon, do you think, Matthew?
They believe, they have not tried to get Joe to, they haven't even put an offer to him, they haven't even tried to talk to him about it. All they want to see is Joe get back to play football and see him get back to a happy place again. They reckon he's never been happier and more engaged with the Essendon group than he has been in the last 2 or 3 weeks as he's got.
And that's going to come as your body feels good. As you're carrying an injury, it's the worst place in the world to be in long-term rehab. You feel terrible. So it's environmental depression. He's come out of that, and it's great to see him get an opportunity.
Caro, do you think it's Sydney and Brisbane, the front runners, if he doesn't stay at Essendon?
Oh, look, well you've been very strong on Brisbane. I'm not so sure about Sydney now, Sam. I think the market's open again. I think it's more than Sydney and Brisbane myself.
Well, who?
I just think that many clubs will be looking at Joe Daniher. I can't list them, but I think that the way it's going to go at the end of the season, what I'm interested in is what he is going to get paid, because that is going to decide, if Essendon do trade him, what they're going to get for him.
Hey, Sam, I'm telling you, if he gets through 5 games, I don't care how he plays, but he gets through the 5, I'm saying there'll be 5 to 6 clubs who want Joe Daniher.
Well, how about this?
Of course
Who are they?
No, but the number one should be...
Come on, Lloyd. You're not usually like that. If you know something, you say it. Who are the other clubs apart from Sydney and Brisbane?
I won't say who they are, but I know a number of clubs.
Any Victorian clubs?
Yes.
But he shouldn't be in any more demand with another club than Essendon.
Yeah.
They're crying out for a power forward. You're saying he's a box office hit. He's a superstar. Essendon know him inside out. They should be bidding the most and keeping him.
Hey, Ross, if he wants to stay, they are desperate for him to stay at Essendon. And they are hoping that he chooses Essendon.
Because I stand by, they haven't produced a champion since you retired. Right? They've got some very good players. He's one that could be. They need to keep him and turn him into a champion.
It's such a fascinating scenario, the Joe Daniher one, Caro, not just for him. I mean, I think everyone hopes that Joe plays really well for the rest of his career at Essendon and we don't have to keep talking about the injury. But if he does, in fact, play out the rest of the year and then go, and they get less for him, I just wonder if Essendon will have egg on their face because of it.
Because they didn't trade him to Sydney. Well, Sydney sort of pulled out, didn't they?
No,
they got cold feet. Or they didn't offer them. They didn't offer what Essendon felt was a fair trade. I actually don't blame Essendon for not doing the deal last year. They couldn't have known.
Caro, you can't sit here and say that you can't blame Essendon for not doing the deal and they were going to be given 2 first-round picks for a guy that hadn't played in 2 years, that had given his soul to the club and had asked to leave. That doesn't wash.
Was that the deal?
I understand why
Two
Essendon...
first-round picks.
We don't know if that's the deal, Sam.
It was two first-round picks.
They'll argue that there was one. Because Papley still had to come into the whole thing.
It wasn't going to be 5 and 9, but they were going to be two first.
I don't think you can pot a club for trying to hang on to a potential champion. It's a dynasty to Dana, a famous Essendon family, and someone that can help deliver them out of the wilderness. I think it's good that they took the risk.
Yeah, good on them. I actually think, and they can't have known he was going to spend most of this season injured. I mean, so many things were unknown.
But maybe they did know that they were in for a season of transition. Let's take a listen to their coach, John Worsfold, after the game against Richmond.
What the players have learned throughout the course of this year and what they learned from tonight is there with them going forward. If you wiped all that away, you'd say, OK, well, we're starting next year exactly the same point, and I can guarantee you that the group will start miles ahead going into next pre-season. They don't need to sit and listen to Blake Carousella explain terminology and match type setups to them going into next year. They'll know what it is from day one pre-season. They'll be able to practice stuff that we need to get better at without having to learn it. So we'll be miles ahead.
So I guess the point here is that they hold on to Fantasia and Daniher because they've just got the likes of Devon Smith and Dylan Shiel in, and they think we're not going to trade away two of our best forwards. We want to play finals. We want to win premierships. Completely understand that. But then less than a year later, saying that, well, we're still learning and it's a new game plan.
It was a new game plan at the start of 2019 with Ben Rutten, wasn't it? And there were difficulties then. And now we're hearing that Blake Carousella's come in with strange terminology.
So I think different groups learn at a different pace. But Carousella turned up at Richmond from Geelong and they went from a high possession, high handball, give it to Martin, give it to Koch and muck around with it, to penetrate, go direct. They were able to do that over one summer. No, it was over one summer. So some groups learn quicker than others and some people teach better than others.
But Essendon is saying, people are saying to me at Essendon that it's very difficult to learn new game plans when you're training in smaller groups, and the COVID restrictions has made it
indisputable.
Really...
But game bans are embedded over summer. COVID didn't exist until March. So I think the 6 months, it's still a challenge, but we know it's been done at Richmond. I would have thought they'd be a little bit more advanced. I think we wouldn't be talking about it if they had availability, because I think, what were they, 4-1, and we all thought this is working. As availability and injuries, then that comes out.